The 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs finished third in the NHL regular season, playing 70 games in total, with a record of 32 wins, 27 losses, and 11 ties, all adding up to 75 points. They had 204 goals for and 211 goals against. Their SRS was negative 0.08 and their SOS was 0.02. In the playoffs, they won their semifinal game versus Chicago 4-2, and they finished the season winning the Stanley Cup versus Montreal 4-2.
Between 1942 to 1951, the Leafs won 6 Stanley Cups. They won 3 years in a row in 1962, 1963, and 1964. Since 1967, they have not won a Stanley Cup. The 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs had 10 players and 2 coaches that made their way into the Hockey Hall of Fame. 6 of those 10 players were on the ice for the Leafs' final goal in the Stanley Cup final. Those players inducted into the Hall of Fame include the Leafs captain George Armstrong, 2 assistant captains Alan Stanley and Bob Pulford, as well as goalie Johnny Bower and players Red Kelly, Tim Horton, Dave Keon, and Brian Conacher.
Leonard Red Kelly had a playing career lasting 20 years with 823 points. Kelly's name has been engraved on the Stanley Cup 8 times, 4 with the Toronto Maple Leafs and 4 with the Detroit Red Wings. After retirement, he began coaching the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Toronto Maple Leafs from 1973 to 1977. In the 1962 federal election for Canada, Kelly was elected into the House of Commons under the Liberal Party led by Lester B. Pearson. Johnny Bower, also known as the China Wall, played for 16 years with 37 shutouts with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Rangers. Bower ended his career with 552 games played with a total of 32,026 minutes. Before he started playing hockey, he enlisted into the Canadian Army from 1940 to 1943 and fought in World War II, and also lied about his age. He was 15 years old when he enlisted. Tim Horton had a playing career of 25 years, playing 1,446 games with 518 points, winning 4 Stanley Cups with the Maple Leafs. Horton set the Leafs team record in points as a defenseman with 3 goals, 13 assists in 12 playoff games. Tim Horton is also widely known among Canadians for his donut shop, first opening in 1964 in Hamilton, Ontario.
Stanford Smythe fell victim to misprints on the Stanley Cup, as well as players Pete Stemkowski. Smythe's first name was spelt without the A, and the K in Stemkowski appears backwards on the cup. Although the Leafs' 67th season was filled with many hardships, it was also filled with many proud moments as well. The last Stanley Cup team from the Leafs were all from Toronto's home country, Canada, and a magnificent 5 goalies were set on the bench. Many of the team players were veterans of the sport, being 30 years or older, proving age is only but a number. The 67 season was also the last of the original 6 era.